I'm Kelsey Serdar, and I'm here to talk about the treatment of workers in less developed countries. Because many of us as Americans are unaware of how workers are being treated in the overseas companies. So, the golden rule. Because I'm a retail major with concentrations in fashion marketing and buying and product management. And so with that, I need to be aware of how the workers from these companies that I'm buying from are being treated. And the golden rule is treat others as you would want to be treated, is what most of us are taught in elementary school, we know of today. So therefore, in other countries, I do not think they know of this golden rule, or that many of the American companies have forgotten about it lately. Because right now, workers in overseas countries are being treated equivalently to how the early factory workers we had in the 1900s were being treated. And today, I'm going to make you, in order to make you aware of this issue, you could say, I'm going to teach you what it is, how the workers are being treated, and solutions that there are. So what it is that many of us don't think of how people making these products are being treated. We just assume how the product will benefit us. And what it is that the workers in overseas companies who make the products sold here in the US is because most of our products are from China and India and Africa, that we don't care how they're being treated. We just think, oh, this shirt looks cute, I'll buy it, or how will this new coffee maker benefit me? And we think because it's a multi-million-dollar company that they're going to treat everybody really well, when the problem with that is it's not always true. And so they're often in sweatshops and child labor and migrant workers, according to the Global Compact. Because child labor is cheap, yes, and they're smaller and they probably can do things a lot faster than adults can, but still, it's unethical in a way. And business ethics, according to Navigating Business Ethics, Smoother Sailing Ahead, they compare business ethics to the 10 Commandments, like thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not cheat. And business ethics is basically doing right from wrong, because if you were working at a retail store today and you knew somebody was, say, taking cash from a cash register, you as an employee should obviously go tell your supervisor or your boss, because if you don't and somebody else later sees that this person is stealing, you could as well lose your job for not standing up and speaking the truth. And so how the workers are being treated is that we just assume they're being treated to our expectations, but that's not the case at all. Because countries involved, according to the Third World Quarterly, would be China, the Middle East, South Africa, India. And a quote I found in the Canadian press by a young Chinese migrant is, "Your work is glorious and should be respected by society at large. Migrant workers should be cared for, protected, and respected, especially the younger generation of them." Because he was telling this to workers at a construction site for the number 6 subway in the capital over in China. And he continues to say, the government and the public should be treating the young migrant workers like their own children. And with the end of that, like your own children, that's really how we should be treating these people, especially if they're making our projects. Because companies involved would be Walmart, Nike, Honda, Adidas, Nordstrom. Because workers at Honda Motor Parts, according to the United Kingdom Times, in southern Guangdong, suspended their strike so the workers could go back to work because they agreed to talk about wages and the treatment of workers. They are being paid below the minimum wage, so $7.50 here in the US, they're getting paid below that. They're having to deal with dangerous chemicals dangerous machinery, and according to the International Labor and Workers class history, immigrants are being forced into slavery even after 144 years after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Immigrants nowadays are coming to America to get a better life for that American dream, but some are being taken into these American white, blue-collar class homes and being forced to do housework like dishes, yard work, anything, and they're being treated basically how slaves were being treated back in the 1900s, 1800s. And so the last point would be solutions. Because obviously as Americans you're going to get upset over how they're being treated because there is cheap labor, but yet with cheap labor comes cheap products. Because I don't know if anyone else had this issue, but I'll go to, say, Hollister or Victoria's Secret, and I'll buy a t-shirt, and then after 2-3 washes, it starts getting like little holes in them, and you have to like sew them up with a needle and thread, and it's just not really good quality anymore, how it used to be, because now obviously it's not being American made, it's being basically the most popular is made in China or Middle East or India, Indonesia, Mexico. But solutions would be, what the companies can do is defend the workers' rights, like how we have here in the US, we have workers' rights. Other countries can start this because according to Bloomberg Businessweek, they can improve working conditions, housing, and wages for these workers, which would help. And what the workers could do in order to get these higher wages and better living conditions is they could protest and go on strike and just get their voice heard. Because when we had the early factory workers, especially the women in the factories doing the sewing work, in order to get their voice heard, they voted and petitioned and went on strike, because these big guys who own these companies would obviously lose money because production was being slower. Because I know after taking U.S. women's history here at Stout, in order to get fire escapes, the women often went on strike in order to get those fire escapes, because they would oftentimes block the fire escapes in order to prevent like theft, but yet it ended up killing women instead of protecting them. So workers can just get their voice heard. So treat others as you want to be treated is what basically all of us were taught as the golden rule. And I think in the 21st century there's no reason that Americans should be treating overseas workers as cattle, basically. Or how we treated the early factory workers. Because yes, we want cheap labor, but like I said before, cheap labor also means cheap products. We want good products here in America, not cheap ones. And now that we're aware of what this is, how they're being treated, and solutions that we can have, the most effective in order for us to help would be to let the workers know it's okay to stand against this company and everything, because they should get their voices heard like the women did in order to get a fire escape after the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire in 1911. So with all that said and done, just let's not American history repeat itself, especially in another country.